Hi, and thank you for joining me for day 29 of Scraptember 2023. And today's prompt from Laura Alberts and the Scrappy Sisters, who run Scraptember, is to use a rainbow. And I was looking through my camera reel trying to work out which photo I was going to scrap, thinking I was going to use stamps or papers or something like that to create my rainbow, when I saw this rainbow of colours of cars from the Bangor Seaside Revival weekend that we went to in the summer. And I thought that would be a fun way of using this prompt, so that's what I'm doing. So once again, I'm using Vicki Boutin's Where To Next, and I just wanted to create a fairly neutral background for these cars to sit on. I've printed 8 photos. They're 2x3 each, so I printed 4 onto a 4x6 photo paper using the Project Life app, and then printed them out, and you can see I've arranged them more or less in rainbow order. So I'm just cutting some strips of these greens and blues and black and whites to use as my base for these photos to sit on, and I'll be doing 2 strips of 4. You'll have seen recently that this is one of my go-to ways of scrapping. I really enjoy the 2 horizontal lines at the moment. So I'm just matting all these photos onto some scrap white cardstock just to make them stand out a bit from the background, and then I decided that I wanted to add a couple of swipes of ink for them to sit on. So first of all, I'm using Uncharted Mariner, and then I'll come in with my Bundled Sage. And although these aren't neutrals as in black and white or grey, I feel that these colours are quite a nice neutral base. They're the colours of nature, obviously, the sky and the land, so they're the colours that I've decided to go with. So these strips of paper that I've cut from my scraps, I'm just scuffing up with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, and then I'm going to lay those down with the photos on top. So just checking that I'm happy with the positioning, and then I shall glue those strips down on top of those ink stripes. So yep, happy with that. So here I am, just adding a bead of glue down the middle of the scrap and getting that stuck down, just using my PVA glue to do that, and that sticks just fine. Well, I say just fine, look, that one pinged up again, but it does. Once once it gets a hold, it does dry fine. So they're the top 4 strips, and then I shall add the bottom 4 strips in a second. So constantly bringing these photos back in, obviously because some are vertical and some are horizontal, trying to work out exactly how I want to position them and which I want to overlap onto which. So now just getting the bottom ones done. I've distressed all the edges again and just gluing them down and then positioning those photos. So that's roughly how the layout is going to look. Just fiddling and faffing now, trying to work out exactly how I want them. Probably should have cut this out, shouldn't I? Sorry. I think I do fade away in a minute. So there they are. So I'm going to add some foam pads to each of them just to raise them up and make them stand out above those strips of paper. I won't make you watch all of this, just to give you an idea. 2 foam pads to each photo is plenty. And there they all are down. That's it. So now I can start embellishing. So I'm pulling out the papier pieces and the bits that I've fussy cut in the past, and just adding a couple of those tickets that I'd fussy cut for an earlier layout. And I'm focusing on the colours that I've got here in the backgrounds, really. So that's a papier piece, and I tuck it underneath that top photo. I'm just slowly building layers up. I love these circular elements that I'd fussy cut previously, well, punched previously from that paper. So just adding those because I found them. And then I'm thinking about using this bicycle just because it's cars, so I was thinking modes of transport, you know. I love these big butterflies. I think they bring great impact onto the page. So I'm just going to cut off the yellowy orange one and use that at the bottom there. Try it at the top, but decide it's better at the bottom of the page. And the bike was pushed to the side. I just wasn't happy with it there. And now I'm going through these paper clips and just seeing if there are any of those that I want to use, because they have been a bit neglected so far. They just sit in my box. So I use this grey camera just to the left there. So I'm just going to get that situated with a dot of glue. And then I also find a yellow heart. Both of them are acetate paper clips, so they're really nice because you don't see much other than the actual printed image, which is good. And then I also find a cardstock one that says this, it just says scenic route, and I think that'll work nicely with these cars. So I'm just going to tuck that in just down there. And I just glue it down. I don't worry about the paperclip part. And then using this circle as something for it to sit on. So just getting those bits that I've added glued down. So now I'm coming in with some of the chipboard pieces. This is one of the frames, so I cut it in half to use half at the top and the other half at the bottom. Again, mirroring what I've done across that diagonal. And then another frame that says smile, and I think that'll work really nicely at the bottom there. So again, cutting it in half to use half at the top and half at the bottom. And this is a great way of stretching the use of your frames and also being able to mirror what's on the page so that it's not just one element in one area of the page. So tucking that in, and I'm pleased with the positioning of those, and they've really filled out those areas for me. I've been struggling to choose embellishments for this layout, so those frames were great. So I'm just going to add the title now. So I'm starting with the chipboard letters from this collection. I don't have a huge number left, so I'm spelling out banger and just overlapping them against one another because it's quite a big title that I want to add. And then I'm going to use these beautiful pink fresh alphabets. I think this is from the Good Times collection, to spell out seaside. And then I'm going to pull in some old alphabets from Jelly Bean Soup, which I have been hoarding a little bit. I probably should have used those for that prompt, shouldn't I, this month, to spell out revival. You can see quite a few of the letters have been used on this sheet, but there are still enough left. I just need to choose which words to spell with them now. So revival worked, so I'm adding that, and then I'm going back into the Vicki Boutin chipboard thickers to spell out weekend. And I've run out of N's, so I used an upside down U, and that worked really nicely. So there's a top tip: if you haven't got an N, use an upside down U. So there's the title. So just going to add the date now in the bottom right hand corner. And that wow circle, I don't think I mentioned that when I was laying that down, is one of the printables from Hey Little Magpie that goes with this collection. So just going back through the papyri pieces again, and I find this circle piece, so I add half at the bottom here, and then the other half does go at the top later on. And then I'm just fussy cutting one of the labels, again from those printables from Hey Little Magpie, and that's going to tuck in the bottom right hand corner next to that wow sticker. I do love these labels. I think they just add something to the sides of photos. I like to tuck them in and layer them. So just fighting with the foam pads there to get that exactly where I want it. And then I see these word strips, and I find one that says this is the story, and I think that will just fill in that gap nicely underneath Seaside Revival. I do bring it down when I glue it down. I was just struggling to decide where to put it, but it definitely looked better underneath, so it's going to go there. So just adding some glue and getting that situated. And you saw me then do my journaling inside that frame at the bottom as well. So here's that final piece of that papyri piece, and that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you tomorrow for the very last day. Thanks again. Bye.